The space around Earth looked empty and peaceful until the massive ships appeared. One moment there was nothing but stars and darkness. The next moment, 200 alien warships materialized in a perfect formation at the edge of the solar system. Each ship was the size of a small city, their dark metal hulls covered in weapons and glowing with strange blue lights. Commander Vextar stood on the bridge of his flagship, the Dominion's Fist. His forearms moved across the control panels while his large black eyes studied the blue planet floating in the distance. Earth looked so small and helpless from here. The intelligence report said this world had barely learned to leave their own atmosphere. Their rockets still used primitive chemical fuel. Their weapons were nothing more than metal projectiles and crude explosives. "Sir, the fleet is in position," reported his second-in-command, Sub-Commander Krelnox. "All ships are ready for the invasion." Vextar nodded his massive head. His species, the Zephyrians, had conquered 47 worlds, using the same simple strategy. Show up with overwhelming force, demand immediate surrender. If they refused, destroy their major cities until they begged for mercy. It usually took less than a day. Most species were smart enough to realize they had no chance against the mighty Zephyrian Empire. "Begin scanning their defenses," Vextar ordered. "I want to know exactly what pathetic weapons they have before we make our demands." On Earth, Admiral Jake Morrison was having his morning coffee at the North American Defense Command when every alarm in the building started screaming. He dropped his cup and ran to the main control room. The giant screen showed dozens of red dots appearing on the edge of the solar system. Each dot represented a massive alien spacecraft. "How many ships?" Morrison asked Captain Lisa Hayes, who was already coordinating the response from her station. 200 confirmed contacts, sir," Hayes replied, her fingers flying across her keyboard. "Each one is approximately 2 kilometers long. They're holding position near Neptune's orbit." Morrison felt his stomach drop. Earth's entire defense fleet consisted of 36 ships, most of them converted cargo vessels with hastily mounted weapons. The largest human warship was barely 300 meters long. They were completely outgunned and outnumbered. "Get President Walker on the secure line," Morrison ordered. "And contact every other nation's military commander. We need to coordinate our response immediately." Dr. Ben Carter was working late in his laboratory at the Lunar Research Station when the emergency signal reached him. As Earth's leading expert on alien technology, he had been studying the mysterious probe that crashed in Nevada 15 years ago. That probe had taught humanity so much about alien technology, but now it seemed like it wasn't enough. Carter activated his analysis equipment and pointed it toward the alien fleet. The energy readings were incredible. Each ship produced more power than Earth's largest nuclear plants. Their weapon system showed energy levels that could probably destroy entire continents with a single shot. "This is bad," Carter muttered to himself as he transmitted his findings back to Earth. "Very, very bad." Back on the Dominion's Fist, Vextar was reviewing the scan results with growing confidence. The humans had primitive nuclear weapons and some basic spacecraft, but nothing that could threaten his fleet. Their largest ships were tiny compared to Zephyrian vessels. Their weapons were laughably weak. "They have 36 military vessels," Krelnox reported. "All of them use chemical propulsion and kinetic weapons. No energy shields detected, no plasma cannons. They're still using metal projectiles for ammunition." Vextar laughed, a deep rumbling sound that echoed through the bridge. "Metal projectiles? How primitive. They might as well throw rocks at us. Prepare the surrender demand. Use their crude language so they can understand us." The message was broadcast on every frequency Earth used for communication. It reached every radio, television, and computer on the planet at the same time. The alien voice was deep and threatening, speaking broken English with a mechanical accent. "People of Earth, we are the Zephyrian Empire. Your world now belongs to us. You have 72 hours to surrender completely. Disable all your weapons. Gather your leaders in your major cities. Any resistance will result in the total destruction of your planet. You cannot fight us. You cannot hide from us. Surrender now, and some of you may live as our servants." The message repeated for 10 minutes. Then the alien fleet went silent. Major Alex Turner was in the briefing room at Peterson Space Force Base when the message played. Around him, dozens of military officers sat in stunned silence. Turner had served in 3 wars and commanded special operations teams around the world, but he had never faced anything like this. "Sir," said Lieutenant Amy Rodriguez, one of his best pilots, "what are our orders?" Turner looked around the room at the faces of America's finest military personnel. These men and women had sworn to defend their country against all enemies. Now they faced an enemy from the stars with technology beyond their understanding. "Our orders are simple," Turner said firmly. "We fight. We don't surrender. We don't give up. And we sure as hell don't become anyone's servants." Similar conversations were happening in military bases around the world. In Moscow, General Petrov was mobilizing Russia's nuclear arsenal. In Beijing, Admiral Chen was preparing the Chinese fleet for battle. In London, Air Marshal Thompson was coordinating with European allies. Every nation on Earth was putting aside their differences to face this common threat. But the aliens didn't know about humanity's greatest advantage. They had studied human technology and found it primitive. They had analyzed human military capabilities and found them lacking. What they hadn't studied was the human spirit. They didn't understand that humans had been fighting each other for thousands of years, learning and adapting and becoming the most dangerous warriors in the galaxy. They thought they were conquering a primitive world. They were about to learn that they had just declared war on the most violent species in the universe. 48 hours after the alien ultimatum, Major Alex Turner sat in the pilot seat of the UES Freedom, humanity's newest diplomatic vessel. The ship was small compared to the alien monsters waiting in space, but it carried the hopes of 8 billion people. Turner adjusted his uniform and checked his equipment one more time. Hidden in his jacket was a recording device that would broadcast everything back to Earth. "Major Turner, this is Admiral Morrison," came the voice through his headset. "Remember, your job is to buy us time. Keep them talking as long as possible. Our hidden defenses need every minute we can get." Turner nodded, even though Morrison couldn't see him. "Understood, sir. If they want to talk, I'll give them the longest conversation of their lives." The Freedom approached the massive alien flagship slowly. Turner could see weapon ports the size of subway tunnels covering the alien ship's hull. Each gun could probably vaporize his entire vessel with a single shot, but he kept flying forward. Fear was something every soldier learned to control, and Turner had been controlling his fear for 20 years. On the Dominion's Fist, Commander Vextar watched the tiny human ship approach. It was so small that his weapon systems barely registered it as a threat. The vessel looked like a metal box with engines attached. No elegant curves or artistic design like proper Zephyrian ships. These humans had no sense of style or beauty. "The human diplomat has arrived," Krelnox reported. "Should we destroy him as an example?" Vextar considered this. Destroying the diplomat would send a clear message about Zephyrian power. But intelligence suggested that humans were emotional creatures. Killing their representative might make them do something stupid and unpredictable. Better to follow standard procedure and accept their surrender properly. "No, bring him aboard. Let him see the might of the Empire before he crawls back to his leaders with our final terms." The Freedom docked with the alien flagship using a mechanical airlock. Turner stepped into the alien ship and immediately noticed the difference. Everything was huge. The corridors were wide enough for trucks to drive through. The ceilings were so high they disappeared into darkness. The aliens had built everything for creatures much larger than humans. 2 Zephyrian guards escorted Turner to the bridge. Each guard stood 3 meters tall and had 4 muscular arms ending in clawed hands. Their skin was dark gray and covered in natural armor plates. Their faces had large black eyes and rows of sharp teeth. They were clearly evolved. Predators, built for hunting and killing. The bridge was the size of a football stadium. Hundreds of alien crew members worked at control stations arranged in perfect geometric patterns. At the center, on a raised platform, stood Commander Vextar. He was even larger than his guards, with gold decorations covering his armor and symbols of rank carved into his natural plates. "So," Vextar said in his deep, mechanical voice, "you are the human who speaks for your species. Turner looked up at the massive alien commander without showing any fear. I'm Major Alex Turner, representing the United Earth Defense Coalition. I'm here to discuss your demands. Vextar laughed, the sound echoing through the enormous bridge. Discuss? There is nothing to discuss, little human. You will surrender unconditionally or we will destroy your planet. Those are your only choices. Turner activated the hidden recording device in his jacket. Everything being said was now broadcasting, live to every television, radio, and internet connection on Earth. Billions of people were watching this conversation. I need to understand exactly what you're demanding, Turner said calmly. You want Earth to surrender. What does that mean specifically? It means your species becomes property of the Zephyrian Empire, Vextar explained with obvious pleasure. Your strongest individuals will become workers in our mines and factories. Your smartest will serve as technicians maintaining our equipment. Your leaders will be executed as examples. The rest will live in designated areas under our control. Turner felt anger burning in his chest but kept his voice steady. And if we refuse? Vextar gestured to a large view screen that activated, showing an asteroid floating in space about 1,000 kilometers away. Observe. The alien commander gave an order in his own language. One of his warships turned toward the asteroid and fired a single shot. A beam of pure energy, brighter than the sun, struck the rock and vaporized it completely. In less than 2 seconds, an asteroid the size of a mountain simply ceased to exist. That is the power of one ship firing one shot, Vextar said. I have 200 ships. Your cities, your military bases, your entire civilization would disappear in minutes. Back on Earth, 8 billion people watched the demonstration in horror and rage. In the Pentagon, Admiral Morrison clenched his fists as he watched the asteroid vanish. In Moscow, General Petrov slammed his hand on his desk and cursed in Russian. In Beijing, Admiral Chen ordered his fleet to battle readiness immediately. But the aliens' display of power had the opposite effect of what Vextar intended. Instead of terrifying humanity into submission, it united them in fury. Every person watching understood that these aliens saw them as nothing more than animals to be enslaved or killed. Turner looked directly at Vextar and spoke clearly, so every human on Earth could hear him. Commander, you've made a serious mistake. You think you're dealing with a primitive species that will bow down to superior firepower, but you don't understand humans at all. What is there to understand? Vextar asked with amusement. You are weak. We are strong. You have primitive weapons. We have advanced technology. You will surrender or die. Turner smiled, and there was something dangerous in that smile. We've been fighting wars for 5,000 years. We've been killing each other with every weapon imaginable. We've survived ice ages, plagues, nuclear weapons, and global wars. And you think we're going to surrender to you? Vexatar's amusement faded slightly. Your wars mean nothing. You fight with crude weapons against your own kind. We have conquered 47 worlds. Those other worlds probably had sense enough to surrender when they were outgunned, Turner said. Humans don't work that way. When someone threatens our families, our children, our freedom, we don't calculate odds. We don't worry about survival rates. We just fight until either we win or there's nothing left of us to keep fighting. The alien commander studied Turner more carefully now. There was something in the human's voice, something in his posture, that didn't match the scan results. This creature should be terrified, begging for mercy. Instead, he seemed almost eager for the fight to begin. Turner stood up from his chair and looked around the massive bridge at all the alien crew members. You came here expecting to conquer a primitive world. What you've actually done is declare war on the most violent species in the galaxy. When I go back to Earth, my people won't be discussing surrender terms. They'll be loading every weapon we have and preparing to show you exactly what humans do to anyone who threatens our home. The recording device captured every word as Turner walked toward the airlock. His final message reached every human on Earth simultaneously. This is Major Turner broadcasting to all Earth forces. Negotiation has failed. The enemy has shown us exactly what they plan to do to our families and our world. All units, all nations, all people prepare for war. We're going to teach these aliens why nobody in their right mind picks a fight with the human race. 24 hours after Major Turner's broadcast, Dr. Ben Carter stood in his laboratory surrounded by computer screens showing alien technology readings. He had been awake for 3 straight days, analyzing every piece of data about the Zephyrian fleet. His coffee had gone cold hours ago, but he didn't care. He was too excited by what he had discovered. "Admiral Morrison, you need to see this immediately," Carter said into his communication device. "I've found something important about their technology." Morrison's voice crackled through the speaker. "What is it, Doctor?" "We need every advantage we can get." Carter pulled up a holographic display showing the alien ship designs. "Sir, these aliens have made a huge mistake. They've designed their entire fleet to fight other aliens who think exactly like they do. Look at their shield systems." The hologram showed the energy barriers protecting each alien ship. The shields glowed with swirling patterns of blue and green energy, constantly shifting and changing frequency. "Their shields are designed to stop energy weapons," Carter continued. "Plasma cannons, laser beams, particle accelerators, all the advanced stuff. But look at this data from the asteroid they destroyed. The shields didn't activate at all because they were firing outward, not defending against incoming attacks." Morrison's voice became more interested. "What are you saying, Doctor?" "I'm saying their shields are programmed to recognize and stop energy-based attacks. They probably never thought about kinetic weapons because every advanced species uses energy weapons. But we still use bullets, missiles, and explosives. Their shields might not even recognize our weapons as threats." At Peterson Space Force Base, Colonel Ryan Brooks was briefing his strike team leaders on humanity's secret weapons program. The meeting was taking place in an underground bunker that hadn't existed on any official records until yesterday. Everything in the room was classified beyond top secret. "Gentlemen and ladies," Brooks began, "for the past 15 years, we've been preparing for this exact situation. Every major military power on Earth has been developing weapons specifically designed to fight aliens with superior technology." He activated a wall screen showing various weapons systems. "The aliens expect us to use energy weapons and conventional space combat tactics. They're about to learn that humans fight differently than anyone else in the galaxy." The first weapon appeared on screen. It looked like a massive cannon with multiple barrels. "This is the Gauss Cannon Mark 7, Brooks explained. "It fires depleted uranium slugs at 12% of light speed. Each slug weighs 50 kilograms and hits with the force of a nuclear weapon. We have 200 of these cannons hidden on platforms throughout the solar system." Captain Sue Miller, a veteran pilot with 20 years of combat experience, raised her hand. "Colonel, what about their shields?" Brooks smiled grimly. "Dr. Carter believes their shields won't recognize kinetic weapons as threats. But even if they do, we have solutions for that too." The screen showed a sleek missile with an unusual design. "These are hunter-killer missiles. They're equipped with artificial intelligence and quantum sensors. If they encounter shields, they'll adapt their flight paths and find weak points. If they encounter armor, they'll detonate shaped nuclear charges designed to punch through metal." Lieutenant Pete Jackson, one of the youngest pilots in the room, whistled softly. "How many of these do we have?" 10,000 missiles spread across 30 different launch platforms, Brooks replied. "And that's just the beginning." The screen showed small fighter craft unlike anything the aliens had seen. They were angular and brutal-looking with no smooth curves or artistic design. They looked like flying weapons rather than vehicles. "These are Wasp-class fighters," Brooks continued. "They're designed for hit-and-run attacks. Fast, maneuverable, and equipped with fusion bombs for ramming attacks. Each pilot volunteers for suicide missions." Commander Kate Phillips, a veteran of 3 wars, studied the fighter design. "Colonel, these ships look like they're designed to crash into targets." "That's exactly what they're designed for," Brooks confirmed. "The aliens have never faced an enemy that uses their own ships as weapons. They don't understand kamikaze attacks or suicide runs. Their combat computers aren't programmed to handle enemies who actively try to ram their ships." At the same time, Lieutenant Amy Rodriguez was preparing for the most dangerous mission of her career. She sat in the cockpit of a prototype stealth ship equipped with quantum camouflage technology, reverse-engineered from the alien probe. The ship was so advanced that it didn't exist on any official records. "Rodriguez, this is command," came Admiral Morrison's voice through her headset. "Your mission is to infiltrate the alien fleet and gather intelligence on their weaknesses. You are not to engage the enemy under any circumstances." "Understood, sir," Rodriguez replied, checking her instruments. "What am I looking for specifically?" "Dr. Carter needs to know exactly how their shields work and where their weapons are positioned. We also need to know if they have any patrol schedules or defensive patterns." Rodriguez activated the quantum camouflage system and watched her ship disappear from her own sensors. The technology bent light around her vessel, making it invisible to both human and alien detection systems. "Camouflage active," she reported. "Beginning approach to the alien fleet." As Rodriguez's invisible ship moved toward the Zephyrian formation, she could see the alien vessels up close for the first time. They were even more massive than the intelligence reports suggested. Each ship was a floating city with thousands of weapon ports and sensor arrays. But as she flew closer, Rodriguez noticed something important. The alien ships were arranged in a perfect geometric formation, with precise spacing between each vessel. They maintained exact distances and angles, never varying from their assigned positions. "Command, this is Rodriguez," she whispered into her radio. "These aliens are completely predictable. They're maintaining perfect formation spacing with no variation. They're not even rotating their positions or changing their patrol patterns." From her hidden position, Rodriguez could see the alien crews through transparent sections of their ships. They moved in orderly patterns, following precise schedules and predetermined routes. Everything was organized, efficient, and completely predictable. "Sir, I think I understand why they've been so successful against other species," Rodriguez continued. "They use overwhelming force combined with perfect coordination. But they're not prepared for chaotic, unpredictable attacks." Back on Earth, the revelation was spreading through military commands worldwide. The aliens were powerful, but they were also rigid and predictable. They followed rules and procedures that had worked against 47 other worlds. They had never faced an enemy that refused to follow the same rules. General Petrov in Moscow was coordinating with his submarine fleet, preparing to launch ballistic missiles from underwater positions the aliens couldn't detect. Admiral Chen in Beijing was dispersing his forces into small groups that would attack from multiple directions simultaneously. Air Marshal Thompson in London was organizing coordinated strikes from hidden bases across Europe. But the most important preparation was happening in the minds of human soldiers around the world. They were learning to think like humans instead of trying to think like advanced aliens. They were preparing to fight dirty, to use tactics that no civilized species would consider, and to turn their greatest weakness, their primitive technology, into their greatest strength. Colonel Brooks addressed his final briefing to strike team leaders from every nation on Earth. "The aliens expect us to fight like a civilized species. They expect formal challenges, organized formations, and honorable combat. Instead, we're going to fight like humans. We're going to be unpredictable, chaotic, and absolutely ruthless." Captain Miller looked around the room at pilots from dozens of countries, all united in their determination to defend Earth. "What's our primary objective, sir?" Brooks smiled, and there was something terrifying in that smile. "Our objective is to teach these aliens that there's a difference between conquering a civilized species and declaring war on humanity. We're going to show them exactly why humans are the most dangerous predators in the galaxy." The attack began at 0600 hours Earth Standard Time, 18 hours before the alien ultimatum was set to expire. Admiral Morrison sat in the underground command center beneath Colorado, watching dozens of screens showing the positions of every human and alien ship in the solar system. His hands were steady as he gave the order that would decide the fate of humanity. "All units, this is command. Operation Thunderstrike is now active. Repeat, Operation Thunderstrike is active. Good hunting." Across the solar system, hidden weapons, platforms that had been disguised as asteroids and space debris suddenly came alive. 200 Gauss cannons powered up simultaneously, their targeting computers locking onto the alien fleet. Each cannon had been positioned over the past 15 years, waiting for this exact moment. Commander Vextar was reviewing invasion plans on his flagship when his sensor officer shouted an alarm. "Sir, I'm detecting massive energy signatures throughout the system. Unknown objects are powering up weapons." Vextar turned to his tactical display, confusion replacing his earlier confidence. The scanner showed energy spikes appearing all around his fleet. Hundreds of objects that his sensors had dismissed as space debris were now revealing themselves as weapons platforms. "How is this possible?" Vextar demanded. "Our intelligence showed no advanced weapons systems." Before anyone could answer, the first salvo arrived. 50-kilogram uranium slugs, accelerated to 12% of light speed, slammed into the alien formation. The Zephyrian shields designed to stop energy weapons offered no protection against solid metal, traveling at relativistic speeds. The first alien cruiser to be hit simply exploded. The kinetic energy was so enormous that the ship's hull vaporized instantly, creating a brief new star in the darkness of space. 3 more ships died in the first 10 seconds of the battle. "Shields are ineffective against kinetic weapons," reported Krelnox, his voice filled with panic. "The projectiles are passing through our barriers like they don't exist." Vextar watched in horror as more of his ships vanished under the human barrage. This was impossible. Primitive species didn't have weapons this powerful. They didn't have the technology to accelerate projectiles to such incredible speeds. "Return fire," Vextar ordered. "Target those weapons platforms immediately." The alien energy beams lanced out toward the human positions, but they found only empty space. The platforms had been designed to fire and relocate instantly. By the time the alien weapons charged and fired, their targets had already moved to new positions. Captain Sue Miller led the first wave of human fighters into battle, commanding a squadron of 12 Wasp-class ships. Each fighter was loaded with a fusion bomb and piloted by volunteers who had accepted that they probably wouldn't survive the mission. "Phoenix Squadron, this is Phoenix Leader," Miller said over the radio. "Remember your training. Hit fast, hit hard, and make every shot. Count, the whole human race is watching." Her fighters approached the alien fleet at maximum speed, using Earth's gravity well to accelerate beyond their normal capabilities. The alien point defense systems tried to target them, but the human ships were too small and too fast. They darted between the massive alien vessels like angry wasps attacking giants. Lieutenant Pete Jackson, flying Phoenix 3, locked onto an alien destroyer and pushed his throttle to maximum. His ship shook as it accelerated beyond safe limits. But he kept flying straight at his target. The alien crew probably never saw him coming. Jackson's fighter struck the destroyer's engine section at nearly the speed of sound. The fusion bomb detonated on impact, tearing a hole through the alien ship's hull and destroying its main power systems. The destroyer listed to one side, dead in space and vulnerable to follow-up attacks. "Phoenix 3 has scored a hit," Jackson reported calmly, as if he crashed into alien ships every day. "Target is disabled." Miller watched with pride as her pilots carried out similar attacks throughout the alien formation. The Zephyrians had never faced enemies who used their own ships as weapons. Their combat computers couldn't calculate how to defend against attacks where the attackers didn't care about surviving. Meanwhile, Lieutenant Amy Rodriguez continued her reconnaissance mission, now flying deeper into the alien fleet while they were distracted by the human attacks. Her quantum camouflage kept her invisible, but she could see everything happening around her. "Command, this is Ghost Rider," Rodriguez whispered into her radio. "The aliens are in complete chaos. They're not adapting to our tactics at all. They keep trying to form defensive formations, but our attacks are too random for their computers to predict." From her hidden position, Rodriguez could see alien crews running through their ships in panic. They had trained for traditional fleet battles with organized formations and predictable enemy movements. They had no idea how to handle enemies that attacked from every direction using suicide tactics. "I'm seeing something else important," Rodriguez continued. "Their command ship is isolated in the center of their formation. If we could break through their defensive ring, we might be able to capture or destroy their leadership." Back on Earth, the second phase of the human attack was beginning. Deep beneath the Pacific Ocean, nuclear submarines launched their modified ballistic missiles toward space. Each missile carried multiple warheads designed to detonate in the middle of the alien formation. The missiles used a flight path that took them through Earth's atmosphere, making them invisible to alien sensors, until they were already in space. By the time the Zephyrians detected the incoming weapons, it was too late to intercept them all. General Petrov watched from his command center in Moscow as his submarines reported successful launches. All missiles away, impact in 6 minutes. Nuclear warheads detonated in clusters throughout the alien fleet, creating massive electromagnetic pulses that disrupted alien communications and navigation systems. Ships that had maintained perfect formation for days suddenly found themselves blind and unable to coordinate with their neighbors. Commander Vextar tried to regain control of his fleet, but his communication systems were filled with static and emergency reports. Half of his ships were reporting damage or system failures. The other half were requesting orders that he couldn't transmit because the human electromagnetic attacks had disrupted his command network. "How many ships have we lost?" Vextar demanded. 37 confirmed destroyed, Krelnox reported. Another 62 are reporting major damage. "Sir, we've lost nearly half our combat effectiveness in the first hour of battle." Vextar couldn't believe what he was hearing. His mighty fleet, which had conquered 47 worlds, was being torn apart by a species that still used chemical rockets and metal bullets. It was impossible, but it was happening. The third wave of human attacks came from an unexpected direction. Captain Lisa Hayes, commanding the human defense fleet from her mobile command ship, had positioned her 36 vessels behind the moon where the aliens couldn't see them. "All ships, this is Hayes," she broadcast to her fleet. "The enemy is damaged and confused. We're going to hit them from behind while they're focused on the platforms and fighters. Maximum speed, all weapons free." The human fleet emerged from behind the moon in a tight formation, accelerating toward the alien rearguard. Their ships were tiny compared to the alien vessels, but they were fast and carried the most powerful weapons humanity had ever built. Each human warship fired everything it had as soon as it came within range. Nuclear torpedoes, railgun rounds, and plasma charges streaked toward the alien fleet. The Zephyrians, still trying to deal with attacks from multiple other directions, were caught completely off guard by this new threat. Hayes watched with satisfaction as her fleets combined. Firepower overwhelmed the alien rearguard. 3 more enemy ships exploded under the concentrated barrage, and several others were left drifting helplessly with their engines destroyed. "This is Hayes to all human forces," she announced. "The enemy is breaking apart. Their formation is collapsing. Press the attack. Don't give them time to regroup." Commander Vextar realized that his perfect plan had become a nightmare. The humans weren't fighting like any civilized species he had ever encountered. They attacked from every direction simultaneously, used their own ships as weapons, and showed no concern for their own survival. His orderly, disciplined fleet was being destroyed by complete chaos. For the first time in his military career, Vextar began to understand that he might lose this battle. The primitive humans with their crude weapons were defeating the mighty Zephyrian Empire through sheer unpredictability and ruthless determination. The battle had been raging for 6 hours when Dr. Ben Carter made his most important discovery. Working frantically in his lunar laboratory while explosions lit up the space around Earth, he had been analyzing the electromagnetic signatures from damaged alien ships. What he found changed everything. "Admiral Morrison, I've got it," Carter shouted into his communicator over the sound of nearby weapons fire. "I know how to shut down their entire fleet." Morrison's voice crackled through the static-filled channel. "Talk to me, Doctor. We need a breakthrough right now." Carter pulled up his analysis on the main screen. "Sir, the alien ships all use the same frequency for their internal power systems. It's like they're all connected to the same electrical grid. If we can generate an electromagnetic pulse at exactly 847.3 terahertz, we can overload every ship simultaneously." "How do we generate a pulse that powerful?" Morrison asked. Carter was already working on the solution. "We convert Earth's entire communication satellite network into one massive EMP generator. Every TV satellite, every GPS satellite, every communication relay we have in orbit. If we coordinate them all to broadcast on the same frequency at the same time, the combined power should be enough." Chief Engineer Danny Walsh was listening from the orbital construction platform, where he had been building weapons all week. "Doctor, I can reprogram our satellites, but it'll take at least 2 hours to coordinate that many systems." "Do it," Morrison ordered. "Whatever time you need, we'll buy it for you." While Carter and Walsh worked on their electromagnetic weapon, the space battle continued with increasing desperation. Commander Vextar had lost over half his fleet, but he still commanded nearly 100 warships. He was learning to adapt to human tactics, and his remaining ships were starting to coordinate better. "All vessels, abandon formation flying," Vextar ordered. "Spread out and attack independently. These humans cannot predict our actions if we stop following standard procedures." The surviving alien ships began moving in random patterns, making them much harder for human weapons to target. Some ships accelerated toward Earth's moon, while others headed for the outer planets. The Zephyrians were finally learning to fight, like humans. Sergeant Lucy Adams was leading a desperate mission that no military academy had ever taught. Her team of 12 Marines was preparing to board an alien destroyer that had been disabled by earlier attacks. They wore heavy combat suits and carried weapons designed for close quarters fighting in space. "Remember, we don't know what the inside of their ships looks like," Adams told her team as they approached the alien vessel in a modified shuttle. "Stay together, watch each other's backs, and shoot anything that moves." The alien ship's hull was torn open in several places from kinetic weapon impacts. Adams guided her shuttle through one of the larger holes and into what appeared to be a cargo bay. Emergency lights flashed red throughout the alien vessel, and the air was filled with smoke and sparks from damaged systems. "Atmosphere is breathable," reported Corporal Mike Torres, checking his scanner. "Gravity is about 1.5 times Earth normal." Adams led her team deeper into the ship, following corridors that were designed for creatures much larger than humans. Everything was built on a massive scale, with ceilings 4 meters high and doorways wide enough for vehicles to pass through. They encountered their first alien crew members in what appeared to be an engineering section. 3 Zephyrian technicians were trying to repair a damaged power conduit when the humans appeared around a corner. The aliens had never seen humans up close before, and they were completely unprepared for armed intruders aboard their ship. Adams fired her shotgun at the nearest alien, the blast echoing through the corridor like thunder. The Zephyrians' natural armor, designed to protect against energy weapons, offered no defense against high-velocity metal pellets. The alien collapsed immediately. The other 2 Zephyrians tried to run, but they had never trained for ship-to-ship combat. They didn't know how to fight in enclosed spaces, or how to defend against enemies who used explosive weapons. Torres and Private Jenny Baker cut them down before they could reach an alarm panel. "Boarding successful," Adams reported to her fleet commander. "The aliens have no idea how to fight inside their own ships. They're completely helpless in close combat." Similar boarding actions were taking place throughout the battle zone. Human teams captured 3 more disabled alien vessels, learning valuable intelligence about Zephyrian technology and tactics. The aliens, who had conquered 47 worlds using overwhelming firepower, had never developed skills for hand-to-hand combat. Captain Kate Phillips was coordinating the most audacious part of the human attack plan. She commanded a strike force of 20 ships that were attempting to break through the alien defensive perimeter and attack Vextar's flagship directly. "Phoenix Wing, this is Phoenix Actual," Phillips broadcast to her pilots. "The target is that big, ugly ship in the center of their formation. We're going to punch through their escorts and take out their command center." Her ships accelerated toward the alien flagship at maximum speed, dodging energy beams and missile strikes from the defensive escorts. The Zephyrians had positioned their most powerful ships around Vextar's vessel, creating multiple layers of protection. Lieutenant Commander Steve Parker, flying Phoenix 7, managed to slip past the outer defensive ring by using the wreckage of a destroyed alien cruiser as cover. "I'm through the first layer," he reported. "Their command ship is huge. I can see what looks like a bridge section near the top." Parker's fighter carried the largest fusion bomb in the human arsenal, powerful enough to crack a small moon. He guided his ship toward the alien flagship's bridge, knowing that he probably wouldn't survive the mission but determined to take the enemy commander with him. But before Parker could complete his attack run, something unexpected happened. The massive alien flagship suddenly turned and began accelerating away from Earth. Commander Vextar, realizing that his command ship was about to be destroyed, had ordered a retreat. "Sir, their flagship is running," Phillips reported with amazement. "The alien commander is abandoning the battle." The retreat of the command ship caused confusion throughout the remaining alien fleet. Ships that had been coordinating their attacks suddenly found themselves without central leadership. Some continued fighting, while others began withdrawing toward the edge of the solar system. Back on Earth, Dr. Carter and Chief Engineer Walsh had completed their electromagnetic weapon. Every satellite in Earth's orbit was now synchronized and ready to broadcast on the frequency that would overload alien power systems. "Admiral Morrison, the EMP weapon is ready," Carter reported. "But we need to wait until more of the alien ships are clustered together. If they're too spread out, some of them might survive the pulse." Morrison studied the tactical display showing the positions of surviving alien vessels. About 60 ships were still within range of Earth's satellites. The others had moved too, far away to be affected by the electromagnetic attack. "Do it," Morrison ordered. "Hit them with everything we've got." Carter activated the satellite network. Every communications satellite around Earth suddenly began broadcasting electromagnetic energy at exactly 847.3 terahertz. The combined power output was enormous, creating an invisible wave of energy that swept through the inner solar system. The effect on the alien ships was immediate and devastating. Their power systems, all operating on the same frequency, began overloading simultaneously. Ships that had been fighting effectively just moments before suddenly went dark as their engines failed and their weapons powered down. Commander Vextar watched from his fleeing flagship as most of his remaining fleet died in the electromagnetic storm. 60 ships representing thousands of years of Zephyrian military tradition became lifeless hulks drifting in space. "How many vessels are still operational?" Vextar asked, his voice hollow with defeat. Krelnox checked his instruments with shaking hands. 37 ships still have power, sir, but most of them are too damaged to fight effectively. We have perhaps 15 vessels capable of combat operations." Vextar stared at the tactical display showing his destroyed fleet. In less than 8 hours, the humans had reduced his mighty armada from 200 ships to 15. It was the worst military disaster in Zephyrian history. For the first time in his life, Commander Vextar understood what it meant to be afraid. The humans hadn't just defeated his fleet. They had shown him that some species were too dangerous to conquer. Some worlds were better left alone. "Signal all remaining ships," Vextar ordered. "We are withdrawing to the edge of the system. Prepare for emergency hyperspace jump." The once mighty Zephyrian invasion fleet began its humiliating retreat, leaving behind the wreckage of nearly 200 warships and the knowledge that they had just been defeated by the most dangerous species in the galaxy. The final phase of the battle began with Admiral Morrison making the most dangerous gamble in human history. With only 15 alien ships remaining operational, he decided to launch Earth's ultimate weapon before the Zephyrians could escape, and return with reinforcements. "All civilian volunteers, this is command," Morrison broadcast across every communication channel on Earth. "Operation Final Strike is now active. We need every pilot who can fly a spacecraft." Within hours, thousands of civilian ships began launching from Earth's surface. Cargo haulers, passenger shuttles, mining vessels, and even luxury yachts were hastily fitted with nuclear warheads. Each ship was piloted by volunteers who understood they were flying one-way missions. Commander Vextar watched this incredible sight from his retreating flagship. He had never seen anything like it in 47 conquered worlds. An entire planet was turning itself into a weapon. Thousands of ships, most of them completely unarmed civilian vessels, were accelerating toward his remaining fleet. "Sir, I'm reading over 3,000 incoming vessels," reported Krelnox, his voice filled with disbelief. "Most of them appear to be civilian spacecraft converted into missiles." Vextar studied the tactical display with growing horror. The humans weren't just sending their military to die. They were sending everyone. Merchant pilots, taxi drivers, cargo haulers, even retired pilots in their 70s were volunteering to ram their ships into alien vessels. "This is impossible," Vextar muttered. "No civilized species would sacrifice their entire civilian population." for a military victory. But the humans weren't thinking like a civilized species. They were thinking like cornered animals defending their young. Every person on Earth understood that if the aliens escaped and returned with a larger fleet, humanity would be enslaved or destroyed. This was their only chance to end the threat permanently. Major Alex Turner, now commanding a captured alien destroyer with Sergeant Lucy Adams as his second in command, led the human fleet's final assault. The alien ship had been repaired using human technology and was now armed with both alien energy weapons and human kinetic cannons. All human forces. This is Turner broadcasting from the captured vessel Retribution, he announced. The enemy is trying to retreat to hyperspace jump points. We cannot let them escape. Every ship that gets away will come back with 10 more. Turner's destroyer accelerated toward the alien formation, followed by Captain Sue Miller's remaining fighters and Captain Kate Phillips's strike wing. Behind them came the massive wave of civilian volunteers, each ship carrying enough nuclear explosives to destroy a city. The 15 surviving Zephyrian warships tried to form a defensive formation, but they were too damaged and demoralized to coordinate effectively. Their crews had watched their mighty fleet torn apart by primitive humans using tactics that violated every rule of civilized warfare. The first civilian ship to reach the alien formation was piloted by 60-year-old cargo pilot Bill Henderson. He had been flying freight runs between Earth and Mars for 30 years, and now he was flying the most important mission of his life. Henderson's cargo hauler, loaded with fusion bombs, struck an alien cruiser amidships. The explosion tore through the alien vessel's hull and detonated its ammunition storage. The cruiser vanished in a ball of fire that briefly outshone the sun. "This is Henderson to all civilian pilots," came his final transmission. "The aliens burn just like everything else. Give them hell." Hundreds of other civilian ships followed Henderson's example. Pilots who had never fired a weapon in their lives were ramming their vessels into alien warships with grim determination. The Zephyrians, who had expected to fight a conventional fleet battle, found themselves under attack by an entire civilization. Dr. Ben Carter, working frantically from his lunar laboratory, had developed one final surprise for the retreating aliens. Using the captured alien technology from the boarded ships, he had learned how to disrupt their hyperspace engines. "All units, this is Carter," he broadcast. "I'm transmitting a frequency that will prevent the aliens from jumping to hyperspace. As long as we keep broadcasting this signal, they're trapped in our solar system." The electromagnetic jamming field spread outward from Earth's satellite network, creating an invisible cage around the remaining alien ships. Commander Vextar realized with growing panic that his fleet couldn't escape. They were trapped in a system full of humans who fought like rabid animals. "Sir, hyperspace engines are offline," Krelnox reported. "We cannot jump until the human jamming field is shut down." Vextar made a decision that no Zephyrian commander had ever made before. Rather than fight to the death, he decided to surrender. The alternative was watching his remaining ships and crews destroyed by an endless wave of human kamikaze attacks. "Transmit on all human frequencies," Vextar ordered. "Tell them we wish to discuss terms." The surrender message reached every human commander simultaneously. Major Turner, piloting the captured alien destroyer, responded immediately. "Alien Commander, this is Major Turner speaking for the United Earth Defense Coalition. You have exactly one chance to surrender unconditionally. Any attempt to negotiate will result in the complete destruction of your remaining ships." From his flagship, Vextar could see the human fleet surrounding his position. Thousands of ships, from military destroyers to civilian cargo haulers, all carrying nuclear weapons and piloted by volunteers willing to die to protect their world. "We surrender," Vextar transmitted, the words bitter in his mouth. "We will comply with your demands." Turner's response was immediate and harsh. "All alien vessels will power down their weapons and engines immediately. Any ship that attempts to reactivate combat systems will be destroyed. You will remain in this system until we decide what to do with you." The surrender of the Zephyrian fleet was broadcast live to every human on Earth. 8 billion people watched as the aliens who had come to enslave them powered down their weapons and drifted helplessly in space. Admiral Morrison addressed the planet from his command center. "Citizens of Earth, the alien threat has been neutralized. Our world is safe. The enemy fleet has surrendered unconditionally. But the victory celebration was brief. Everyone understood that this was just the beginning. The Zephyrian Empire would eventually send more ships to investigate what happened to their invasion fleet. Captain Lisa Hayes, now promoted to admiral, began planning Earth's next phase of defense. The captured alien ships would be studied and reverse-engineered. Human technology would advance by centuries in just a few years. Earth would build its own fleet of advanced warships using alien technology, combined with human ingenuity. Dr. Carter was already working on plans for humanity's first hyperspace-capable vessels. Within a decade, human ships would be exploring the galaxy, carrying the message that Earth was no longer a primitive backwater world. Commander Vextar, now a prisoner aboard his own flagship, filed his final report to the Zephyrian High Command. The report would reach the Imperial capital in several months, warning them about the most dangerous species the Empire had ever encountered. "Do not attempt to conquer the humans," Vextar wrote. "They do not fight like any civilized species. They use their entire population as weapons. They sacrifice everything for victory. They are more dangerous than any military force we have ever faced." The report would recommend that Earth be declared a forbidden zone, too dangerous for any Zephyrian ship to approach. The humans, Vextar explained, were not a primitive species to be conquered. They were apex predators who had accidentally developed space travel. Major Turner stood on the bridge of his captured alien destroyer, looking out at the wreckage of the once mighty Zephyrian fleet. Floating among the debris were thousands of human ships, both military and civilian, that had given everything to defend their world. "Sir," Sergeant Adams said, joining him at the view screen. "What happens now?" Turner smiled, and there was something both proud and terrifying in that expression. "Now we prepare for the next war, because when the rest of the galaxy learns what happened here, they're going to realize that humans are the most dangerous species in the universe." The battle for Earth was over, but humanity's war for survival in a hostile galaxy had just begun. The species that had been sent to conquer Earth had learned too late that some worlds fight back. And when humans fight back, they don't just win battles. They become the thing that other species have nightmares about. Earth was no longer a target for conquest. It had become the home of the galaxy's apex predators, and the universe would never be the same.